It's the SDG Podcast. Before we get started, you can check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com/podcast or find us on all the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Solution Design Group. Another SDG Podcast. Welcome, everybody. Podcasters, say hello and introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Chad Jetner.
I'm Peter Lawrence.
I'm Kyle Bacher, and today we're joined for the first time by Brady Hegberg. Welcome, Brady.
Hello.
Awesome. Today we're going to talk about team building and connecting beyond the screen. So we've been looking through glowing rectangles for quite a while now and interacting that way. So now that we're kind of in a hybrid mode, people are starting to get back out there and work together in buildings. How do you go beyond the screen, Chad, when you do team building? How do you connect?
We go beyond the screen, we go to the office, and then we go to happy hour. This is a really simple problem to solve. It is not hard at all.
Chad's like, done.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's pretty simple. And Brady's here because him and I are working together, have worked together. And Brady's going to talk about how effective that actually is. Doesn't matter, right? And compare. So our project right now is our anonymous project. We're highly interactive, right? Like we do a lot of things together. I mean, we do project work, right? And that's one thing. But we celebrate people coming onto the project. We celebrate people leaving the project. We celebrate Wednesdays. We celebrate kind of big events around the project, milestones. And we do that mostly at happy hour.
So do you remember the time when we were all stuck looking through the world through a screen and we couldn't get together? There wasn't really that option. Do you remember back that far, Chad? And because I know you're a forward thinker, you don't really live in the past.
Yeah, I was but a wee babe.
How bad was it compared to being able to do all those things where you connect the happy hours and the celebrations and the weekly fun stuff you do?
I mean, I don't know. For me, I don't know, Brady or Peter might have a different take on this. For me, the novelty of all of what we tried to do early on weared off quick, right? Like we tried to do lunchtime watch parties. We tried to do virtual events, playing games on like all that stuff. It was cute for a couple of weeks. But I cannot ever do another Zoom happy hour where literally one person can communicate with the group at once, and you can't really, I don't know, it feels so artificial. I hated it. Brady, did you do anything like that before when you were during the Rona?
Yeah, I did both through work and outside of work, and it does get exhausting after a while. There's something that is sort of inherently a little tiring about interacting with people through a screen. I'm not sure what that is, but
Is it the fact that you have to take turns to talk? Is it like there's no real two-way communication happening? It's not like Chad and Kyle can jump in right now and have their thoughts heard because it'll all just blur out and noise canceling and you know, whatever app, doesn't matter. Things will just disappear, right?
yeah, it might be that you feel like you're on TV a little bit.
That's good.
I know my hair always looks good this way, which is nice. It's
So
not.
does
I never have to go home at the end of the day and find some piece of hair sticking straight up and go, I wonder if that happened at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day. Don't know.
Yeah, the rah-rah, let's do this thing, let's do these happy hours over Zoom. Yeah, it was a quick down ramp. into this level of just kind of not doing much of that stuff. And then everything had to be scheduled. Like people weren't just calling via Teams or Slack. It was throw a meeting on the calendar, wait till that meeting, and then chat with somebody. Or you text them, Slack them, whatever, and do you have a moment instead of just calling them. That kind of changed a little bit. What's funny to me is before the whole lockdown thing happened, I couldn't get people to do a video call to save my life. It just wasn't happening. If we did calls, they were audio only. Hey, why don't we turn our cameras on? No, it's like being photographed. People don't like to be photographed unless they're photographing themselves. Then they love it, according to the internet.
At least
So
those
what
people
is-
on the internet.
What is the missing piece? That we talked about the duplex thing. What is missing from in person? What do we miss when we talk through a screen?
I miss when I be talking. So we do project events, work events. And the one thing that I don't catch when we're all remote is Brady. Like I'll be explaining something and I'll look at Brady and his eyes will roll to the back of his head. or like there's a lot of visual cues that I get from the folks that I work with, right? When we're working on a problem, if I see Brady do this, I know that he's, thinking about it and not, and he's engaged. And that's something that I don't see when you're hanging out with somebody on a call, there's cameras off and you don't know if they're even listening. So the nonverbal communication is a huge key for me that I don't see.
Are you still fighting the cameras off battle, or not fighting it, but finding it? Cameras off is people's most comfortable position.
I don't know. What do you think? I think we've kind of broken through.
It depends on the person. There are some people who certainly prefer cameras off, and there are some people who seem to prefer cameras on. And I prefer to have my camera on. I like people to see me when I go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what? Or yeah,
It's hard to talk with your hands if you're not on camera, right?
Exactly. Yeah. One of the main things though that you really miss out on, you can sometimes see people's faces. It's a little bit. I remember catching one of my coworkers making a face recently in a meeting, and he was just kind of aghast at something. And
Is it me?
that was Leif.
Oh,
Leif has some
Nope.
great facial expressions.
Yeah. If you have a smaller monitor, or you have the video, just in a window, and
Mhm.
the video feeds or frames are small, you can't really see people that well. You can't see those facial expressions. Like I just went full screen, and I see you guys side by side, all three of you, instead of having the
Nice.
split and having someone down in the corner. And I'm like, I should have been doing this all the time. Like I just thought of this, like maybe it's because they're so small. But I think there's the in-person thing versus the screen. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on that we're just not aware of. You got the nonverbal cues, but I think, the eye contact is a big thing. You can't make eye contact through the video unless one of you always looks at the camera when they're talking, and then the other one looks at the camera, and then you kind of get the sense of eye contact. So,
Eye contact.
yeah.
So I remember being on some audio only calls where I was the only remote person and everybody else was in the room back in the before times.
Oh, you can't do it.
And it's a challenge. Another thing I was noticing is that the frame rates are not infinite right now, at least on my computer. there's a little choppiness, a little bit of distracting, you know, I can see some reflections, some choppiness, any glitch whatsoever makes me remember that I'm sitting in front of a glowing rectangle and not in person, which tends to distract a little bit, right? Every millisecond of distraction just takes a little bit to catch back up.
Back to the original topic about beyond the screen team building. So
Those were the
Brady,
negatives.
myself, yeah, that's I could not. I hate being remote and then dialing in, even on camera, right? It's so hard to get a word in or to understand a room full of people talking and then to digest that information and give feedback. It's almost impossible.
It's like you're in the back seat and the two
Yeah.
people in the front seat are having a conversation and you're just not part of it because you're in the back seat. Sorry.
Yeah.
One of the things that I sometimes stress out a little about, not so much anymore, are in-person events tend to be centered around my interests mostly, which is happy hours, more happy hours, baseball games,
And happy hours.
happy hours before the baseball game. I used to stress out about that quite a bit, but what I found is that, and I don't know, Peter, or Brady, or Kyle, if you have a different experience, but like it doesn't matter. Like even the kids that don't drink come to our happy hours and they'll just sip on a lemonade for a couple hours just to hang out with us. People that don't enjoy baseball still come to the game and hang out with us just because it's us.
It's
And
easy to ignore a baseball game, right?
yeah, it's easy to.
I
I
mean-
mean, it's like one big happy hour, kind of, where everybody's around each other. There's an event happening out there, but that's just really an excuse to get everybody at the same place at the same time. So
Yeah.
I used to worry about like, all right, well, this is a lot of the events are Chad or Greg or whatever focused. Am I boring the hell out of people by continually doing the same things over and over? I don't think so, but I would like to hear otherwise.
I've had 3 baseball games, like 3 events that were baseball games, 2 Twins, 1 Saints, and I didn't go to any of them.
Because
So-
you're not a fan, or
There's a lot of factors like how hot it is outside, plus tiny chairs that I just don't fit in. Like if I sit down, I'm not getting up. I'm there for good.
right?
Just and then crowds. I'm not a fan of crowds, and it's like I would go and want to leave within like half an hour.
Sure.
So I haven't gone, but I'm kind of the exception for that stuff. If there's places with a lot of kids, I don't have kids, so that means it's like other people's kids are awful. If I had kids, it'd probably be a different story.
You'd
I don't
be more
hate
understanding.
kids, yeah, but
So Kyle, what
What-
would be your baseball game or your happy hour? Or is happy hour your happy hour?
just a happy hour, or like there was a boat cruise I went on that was fun. It was outside. That was cool.
But
Yeah,
they
I
moved
just
the boat to keep the breeze going for you.
yeah, exactly. It's hard to want to get out of the house after like being holed up for so long. And so I have to force myself now. I've got to go outside my comfort zone. And
It's a habit.
yeah,
Wait,
I'm
Is that true though? Like you got so used to being at home that you don't want to leave now?
right. So, but I was the most prepared person for being locked down in the world because I am a homebody and a hermit anyway. And then I always had groceries and stuff delivered and ordered, restaurant delivery. I don't like going to stores. I'm weird. Let's just say that. So being that way, yeah. So getting back out, um, I liked going to work. I liked going to the office before lockdown. Like to me, that was, and now it's like I'm working my way back into that.
So the office was your happy hour.
It really was.
Yeah.
That was my social time, to be around people. That got me out of the house. And without that, it's like, you know, let's
Yeah,
just sit and.
I feel guilty when I'm at home and I'm not working, but when I'm at the office, I can talk with my coworkers and not feel guilty.
That's a good point.
There was something about that. I heard a study yesterday that somebody did where they had people working from home and they had to pull people back into the office, not because people weren't working, but because they were apparently working too much and burning themselves out.
Yeah, that can be a problem. I was working quite a lot, like at the beginning of the lockdown. It was really a scramble to get everything paperless and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can all of a sudden look up and it's like 8 o'clock at night and you're still like, you get into something late in the day. And that's one of the problems. That's been around since people started working from home is you might get some people that work less and slack off, but I think most people are giving it a full day. And then there's a lot of them that are, like you said, burning themselves out because they're there. The work is there. That's where their office is, and they can't get out of work mode. I worked from home quite a lot before the lockdown, for years. And so I had already figured out how to do it. You define that workspace and then the rest of the house is not workspace. Um, but what I miss about um, being around people is the incidental team building that goes on just by being around people, drop-ins, hallway conversations, even just overhearing things. You get a lot of that by just being together.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that you miss out on being online is incidental conversations and side conversations, and being able to hear things, just by chance. And
Sometimes you hear more about your work than you were, learn more about your story or whatever that you're working on just by hearing somebody else talk about a different aspect of it, right?
Mhm.
And that almost never happens remotely, right?
Or you hear somebody complain about something. I can't believe Brady did, or I can't believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that still happens, right? You guys do that online, right?
Not really.
No?
I don't know. I feel like we're more reserved online because you can always take a screenshot of a conversation online. You can't really take a screenshot of a,
So that's been proven, right? We've seen evidence of that.
Yeah.
So Brady, is happy hour your jam, or are you looking for something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think happy hours are a great time to get together and discuss things that both work subjects and non-work subjects. And you can feel comfortable discussing either usually.
Right. It's nice. You don't have to stick to work and you don't have to stick to not work at a happy hour, right? Generally speaking. So if you talk only about work, people will stop you eventually.
Sometimes I have trouble remembering stuff the next day if the happy hour went too long, but
I liked meeting the new people. They come in their first week and they'd be hanging out. And you'd walk by and you'd see fresh faces and you'd, introduce yourself and get to know them a little bit. and they get to know another person a little bit and remember yet another name of the 100 other people they've met in the last 2 days. Yeah.
I like that we do that. I don't know who started this, but every other Thursday in the office, we tend to have a happy hour, right? So as at SDG, we go into the office, and then somebody started this regular thing where we do this happy hour at the end of that day. And I've met more of the new people that way because we make a point of finding those folks and getting them to come out or asking them if they'd like to come out. We don't force them to.
Right.
But that's actually been pretty huge. We actually did that on our project with had a new guy, Cam. Cam came online or came on board on a Monday, and that same day he wasn't even assigned to our project yet. We knew we were getting him. Invited him to a happy hour. That happy hour turned into let's go to trivia. That trivia night turned into let's go to another happy hour. Cam's very first day was a lot of fun, and it really set the tone, and it let us get to know Cam a lot better. That stuff worked out. That stuff works out really, really well if they're down for it. Even if they're not, come have a lemonade. We're fine.
I think that, when you're the new person going to a situation, kind of finding your way and gelling with people and feeling like you're belong and welcomed, like that happy hour thing probably just accelerates that. So you can kind of just get down to business.
Yeah, being able to meet people without putting people on the spot, without pressure or putting somebody in the spotlight.
Yeah, or like forced activities, right? Like, hey, we're gonna play this whatever get to know you game. I still hate that stuff. But yeah, when we do it just informally, like we've done, it seems to go really, really well.
And it's a lot easier for some reason to have a conversation in that situation and surrounding it. The same feeling doesn't seem to happen at a lunch, right? It happens a little bit at a lunch, but it doesn't. Lunches are usually an hour. If you have a 3-hour lunch, you're starting to feel pretty guilty about that lunch, right?
Yeah.
Most people are anyway. That at the end, like, oh well, I guess we got to go back to work. Whereas a happy hour is usually at the end. And so you never feel it. You can leave the happy hour at any time, but if you're having a great time, you can stay as long as you want, right?
Yeah, literally. You know what, Brady? I just remembered we forgot to ask our new buddy the one question that we've been asking folks, which is how do you eat a chicken wing? Like, how do you eat a flat? Right. That is a nice icebreaker. There's a wrong way, right? There's a lot of wrong ways. That's one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a specific way that I was taught, and it works very well.
Was it a training class?
I think we should do that. Just a 5-minute video I'll put out there, and where you kind of tear off the cartilage at both ends, and then you can just eat the whole thing.
Just eat it.
Easy peasy. Chicken squeezy.
Wait, it's not chicken squeezy. It's lemon squeezy.
Brady's
Come on.
It rhymes.
Twist, break. I actually registered the domain name howtoeatachickenwing.com. So
nice.
There's content we can throw up there. It's out there waiting for us.
Nice. So beyond chicken wing consumption questions, are there any sort of topics that tend to come up over and over at and to call them icebreakers is pretty not great, but in sort of that same realm, the first week somebody's on your team, is there something that you guys do, say, ask?
There's a couple of questions. Are you a vegetarian? Right? Any dietary restrictions? Can I get a copy of your medical history?
Medical history, good.
Like just informal things, right? Um,
Allergic to bees, allergic to
Allergic-
peanuts.
yeah. No, there's things that I specifically avoid asking about. Like I don't usually ask about, are you married? Do you have kids? All the stuff that you're going to hear about at some point anyway.
They'll happen organically,
happen.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we usually, I mean, my default is like, if it's somebody brand new, what was the last thing you did? What's your favorite dive bar? All questions that have, there's not a, open-ended questions, right? That those tend to work best for me.
Right.
Yeah, what kind of stuff interests you?
Yeah. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done in your life? Have you ever been to jail? That kind of stuff.
The important things.
Yeah.
So if you weren't having happy hours, what do you think you'd be doing instead? Is there anything like knitting times?
Bingo.
Bingo. Yeah, lots of bingo. I'm just trying to think of anything else that you could throw out there for someone who is anti happy hour.
I mean, we've like I said, we've done baseball games, both company wide and then our specific team. We've done trivia night once or twice.
Trivia is a fun one.
Yep, you really learn about your coworkers at trivia.
You learn everything they don't know, and you feel that they should.
Or like even better, you learn when they are just like confidently incorrect, right?
Oh, nice.
Oh my God, if you're this sure about a thing and there's a definitive right and wrong answer, and you're like, boy, that directly translates to our workday.
Trust me, guys. It's aluminum foil. I swear. I know this one. And the first answer that disappears, aluminum foil.
Yeah.
I personally like things like bowling and ping pong because you're usually taking turns, and that way, you can have some fun, but also have time to talk with people, and you're not like doing something the entire time.
That's a good one. Is there a ping pong place that we could go, Brady?
Is Disney still around on Lake Street?
I don't know about
We'll have to let the internet searchers find that answer for us.
Yeah.
But outings, right? So specific outings to a specific place that's not any of the happy hour or baseball things. Those always seem to work well. And I like the idea of something that sort of involves everybody but doesn't involve everybody at the exact same time, right? It's not like we're bowling. You can only have one person throwing the ball at a time out of 4. And so 3 others are available for conversation, right? Or 3 others are available to do various hijinks at the other lanes of other members that are out there, and a little bit more freeing, right?
Well, you get in like shared activities that you do together kind of take your mind off stuff. It's like washing dishes with somebody. It's the chat, and there's just something that happens when you're in that shared task situation. I think that like going to a batting cage, bowling, things like that, where like you're not, you have time to hang out with people. It's not like you're okay, we're gonna go here and play flag football and then leave. Like, yeah.
That's
throwing axes can be great if you get along with your coworkers.
Yeah.
very true. Yeah. Sharp implements, those kinds of fun things. So is there anything you can do during the day besides drop-ins on people? I mean, like Kyle, you were talking about just call somebody up and don't ask them if they can take your call. Just call them.
Just interrupt them. Because you don't give them a chance to say no.
Right.
Yeah, they could ghost you. They could not pick up. But I did some walks with people. Let's meet at a park. Let's meet somewhere and go for a walk. And so at the office, you could do that. Walk to a place for lunch. Because in that walking, you have time to chit chat and get to know people.
Actually did that regularly a lot when I was in the office, and even after, it sounds like a great idea is to just go out and take a walk, right? Get together with someone. It's a little easier if you're all in the same starting place. You don't have to drive somewhere to take a walk, which kind of ruins it. But
I think golfing is a great activity. Unless there's people that are really serious about their game and they're having a really bad day and they're breaking clubs and.
Well, it's always good to learn some new words to use in certain situations. Vocabulary.
So how much has it affected our work? Because there's times that, well, a lot of the time I think I'm getting way more done by working from home because there's less distractions. I can put my head down and just kick out some work. Yeah. So what's the trade-off there?
I don't find one really. I mean, I work better in the office than I usually do at home. Mostly because I have a home full of distractions, other people, that other non-coworkers that want to interact throughout the day.
They feel like they can just drop by your desk and have a conversation.
Yeah, and I. Yeah.
Have you tried headphones? Maybe if you wore headphones, they wouldn't bother you.
Yeah, I put headphones in. I close my door. I do a lot of things, and if I close my door, I'll look out the window, and they'll be literally right there, like, "Hey." So it's, yeah.
Yeah, I actually find that sometimes I get more done at home, and sometimes I get more done in the office, and it kind of depends on the situation, and it helps to go back and forth for me.
Yeah, because you guys have been doing sort of a hybrid approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel the hybrid connectivity on the days that you're not in the office? Do you feel more connected to your team because you have been in the same place with them for a while?
No, it for me, it's just a little. I mean, having been in the office, it makes the work from home days a little easier, right? Like the ability to connect. We do it a couple of times a week or a few times a week. The ability to connect and interact during those times makes the time that I spend at home a little bit more valuable for different reasons, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly more focused at home, to Kyle's point, I think, but also at the same time, like, my day is usually very interrupt driven anyway. So when I'm working from home, my commute time turns into work hours, right? I get up at 5 a.m. and I'm at my desk by 5:30, 6 a.m. at the latest. I'm not getting ready for a day in the office. I don't have to drive to the office. I don't have to stop for breakfast on the way to the office. I don't have to, plan to leave the office early so that I can still go to happy hour and yet still maintain a reasonable supper time with the family. Lots of things line up when you do work from home.
Right.
I tell you,
Yeah.
doing tech support, it's way easier when you're all in the same building.
Yeah.
Bring your computer by and we'll take a look at it. And then I can determine that you haven't turned it on or not. And I can determine if you've done all the things I asked you to do.
And then, I always, like a few times a day, walk around and be seen and kind of looking on people. And then they will flag me down because
You
there's
mosey
some
by.
kind of annoyance that they've been living with for 6 months. And they see me and they go, hey, buddy, can you look at something?
I haven't been able to print for the last 6 months. And
Yeah.
today it's really important. But
Yeah, hardware issues. Like I have really good remote software where I can take over somebody's machine and switch monitors and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah, but still hardware issues. Um, yeah, it's let's trade laptops. How about
Back in the before times, oftentimes you would do work from home specifically to get that uninterrupted time. And I do feel like that eventually we're going to probably go back to hybrid at some point for most places. There's going to be some connectedness needed.
I would think so. One of the other great things that we've done is sometimes we'll have a work from patio day where we go work from somebody's patio. And that's a hybrid of the working in the office idea, right? Because you're not at the office, you're on a patio, it's gorgeous out. But you're also not at home with all but one of us are not at home with all those at-home distractions.
But I've done that as well, too, where you go somewhere specifically as a team, go to a coffee shop, go to I like the patio idea. That's nice because it doesn't impact a whole coffee shop or something that wasn't expecting it. But you have that connectedness and you're not in the office still, so you don't feel like you're being forced to do something against your will or whatever.
I'll tell you this. We went back to a hybrid, and I've been doing like a full Wednesday in the office. And I haven't been in my office in the office. I'll go set up in Boardwalk in our big conference room and hook up the big TV and I'll work from there. And then I find that people come in and ask questions and I can show them stuff, or I do working sessions with people on some of the projects we're doing. And that has raised my level of happiness. And I just feel better now just having that one day. And now I'm ready to go, oh, okay, I think I'll add a day, and maybe do 2 days a week and maybe 3 days a week. Because it's a great change of pace. You're getting out, you're moving around. You don't, because I'll get in the zone and work for 8 hours without really pulling my head up or getting out of my chair. So I'm not good at taking those breaks and going for a walk and having lunch and that kind of stuff. I just want to get through it.
I'm really good at that.
I tend to only take breaks if I run into a problem that I'm stuck on. But I try when I get stuck on something or I'm having trouble deciding something, I will usually either take a walk, or if that doesn't work, I will like call up a coworker and just kind of chat for a little bit. The only problem that I've run into with that is that a lot of times if you call up a coworker to discuss a problem with them, they sort of feel obligated to solve it. Like, I sometimes want to say, like, look, I just want to discuss this. I don't want to come up with a solution right away necessarily.
You're my rubber duck, and I'm going to talk it through.
Yeah.
If there's an easy solution that just pops out, sure, that's great. But, you don't need to disrupt half your day to work on this. I'm just trying to, get some input, get some bounce ideas off of somebody.
I've solved a lot of problems while explaining the problem to somebody that I want help with. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I figured it out. Okay. See ya. Thanks for all your help.
I do have this guy here. Just
nice. For those listening, he's showing a rubber duck, an actual rubber duck, which is nice.
Actually, I have an actual rubber duck on my desk, mostly to remind me.
So-
discuss things, but
Ch-
it doesn't really work very well. I need to talk to a human being.
All right, Chad, you've been trying to jump in here.
Oh no, I will just say I don't tend to go for walks, but I will stare at wildlife if they're available. That's how I think through problems. If there's
Out the
if
window.
there's a squirrel, geese, turkeys, whatever, if there's something happening outside a window, I will just sit at my desk and I will stare at wildlife for a very, very long time.
Cool. I don't think I've done that problem solving method, but certainly the
Oh, yeah.
shower.
I don't know that it ever necessarily helps. It does it's comforting knowing that
Focuses, yeah.
it focuses me. I get jealous of squirrel. I mean, squirrels don't have to solve these problems, right? They've got one problem. Where are my nuts, right? Like that's it.
I think there's a predator issue and maybe running across the street with a car, but
No.
maybe not.
Squirrels have no natural predators.
It's an interesting wildlife in my neighborhood. Drug dealers and
Wait. You're breaking rule number 3 already, Brady. Okay, so bringing it back to sort of what we were talking about, do you, and any of you, I know, Kyle, you said you can take over someone's computer. Does anyone else pair program on a problem for some things with teammates? Do you ever share your screen, talk about what you're working on, and sort of do the same thing that you do if you're in the office, pointing your finger, but using your mouse instead?
We literally have an event set up once a week where it's basically that. It's not like dictated at a specific problem, but the idea behind it is if you stumbled on a new library, if you're tackling like a new concept or whatever, and you're up to it, share it with the team and walk us through how you solved it, right? It's our Friday show and tell. And I think it's kind of neat. It gets people to like walk through things and talk a little bit about what they're working on. It forces a little bit of informal code review. Sometimes it just, sometimes there's weeks where we're just, building out a controller and a service and a new schema and connecting that out. So there's not really a lot to show there. But so sometimes it's just us like, so what are you guys doing this weekend? But it's still an opportunity and it's just developers. There's nobody outside of a dev team involved.
Nice. Do you select someone or do you self-select for that show and tell?
Well, if we know somebody just solved something cool and did it in an interesting way, we will nominate or suggest they walk through something. Otherwise, it's kind of open-ended.
Nice. I've had a bunch of times, especially with some of the junior devs, that we've gone and just shared screens and talked things through. I've done it myself with senior guys, and like, I'm having this problem. This is my code. This is the return I'm getting. I'm debugging through, walking through it with them. Do you see anything crazy that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing, or that I'm not doing that I should be doing, and that kind of thing. And that, I know that kind of helps bring things together. You have sort of work conversation, but at the same time, some side conversation too. It's to go along with it.
Yeah, I think that can be a great, a great thing both for the person giving the presentation and for the person watching.
Right. And Chad, to your point, I've certainly had those where, hey, everybody, I just did this one thing and it worked out really well, and I didn't know about it. Maybe you don't know about it either, right? Kyle, how about you? Do you pair with anyone, or do you just take over and solve their problems?
I am currently working on a reorganization of our internet of the HQ. And I've been working with a user researcher slash UI UX slash information architect who's between gigs right now. And we've done the Teams call, screen share, just working on stuff. It's just like a working session where we keep the call open. And so there's times when we're both doing different stuff. And then, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that as we go? Instead of doing that offline and the back and forth with Slack questions, it's just kind of cool to have that time actually working together.
So you keep the line open and just kind of work independently, but together?
Yeah, I've done that a bunch of times. There's a few people where we'll just get on a call and, work for a couple hours. And the rules of engagement there are it's okay to not be paying attention and to be working on stuff. I think it's distracting and maybe fun for them to listen to the random things that come out of my mouth as I'm working on stuff.
I thought it was going to be 2 hours of swearing by Kyle.
I kind of talk to myself and to the screen.
Sure.
Yeah. So
it's like being in the office with you, but without being in the office with you.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And sometimes I'm making whale sounds and Chewbacca sounds and yeah. Working on all my bits for the act I'll never do.
There you go.
Yeah, the office have gotten to see me make lots of gestures at the screen and swear at it a little bit. Well, I don't really swear, but you heckin' program.
There you go.
That TV version. Yeah. It's like watching a Tarantino movie on network television.
Word substitution that you just can't believe actually exists, right?
Oh, man.
I will say sitting next to Brady on a project is its own special treat because it's for me, Brady, it's usually the deep breaths, like the deep breaths that you take sometimes, like
just a heavy sigh.
Yeah. So it usually goes like this, guys. It usually goes deep breath, couple of strokes of the old goatee, another deep breath, and then Brady just disappears. and then end of the day, there's a pull request. We're happy. Everybody's happy. Problem solved.
He knows himself well enough to take a walk or take a break, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So do you see the kind of the road back looking like, maybe as we get into our parting thoughts, we're getting into a hybrid mode. I don't know that we'll lock down again. I don't want to.
You don't want us to predict the next monkeypox.
So if we just assume that we're kind of just getting back into a new normal, what is that going to look like?
I think for us, especially, I very much like having an every other Thursday in our SDG office. That one key event, and I think that's the key for like what we do on our project. Like recognize that people have busy lives, and so like if we only did a happy hour once a month, right? The cadence matters. Having them on a regular basis so that you don't feel like you're missing out by, missing a day, helps people have something to attach to all the time. I think. I look forward to the Thursdays in the office, and I look forward to the event that we have immediately after. I think it's going to be a lot like this. Like you're going to pick your 2 days a week or 3 days a week that you work from home, and you're going to pick your 2 or 3 days a week that you work from the office. And I think that's how we're going to live the rest of our careers, I would imagine.
And
Yes,
that goes down to 1 day a week when it's January. But I think it'll work. I think it gives you that flexibility. It's guilt-free snow days. Like I don't have to get in there for that meeting to show up. Brady, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, I feel bad for people at Tesla. You know, I mean, I feel like we've learned a lot during all this, the last few years, you know, as businesses, as, you know, as developers working from home and learning how to make that work. And you know, and now we're learning how to come back into the office and what, you know, when it works better, which way. And so the and they are, the people at Tesla are apparently going to have to just throw that all out the window, and we didn't learn anything.
They're going back full time in the office, right? Or else.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe that is true. Apple too. I think you almost feel bad for Apple, right? Because they built this huge brand new campus that opened the same time that COVID hit. And,
It was perfectly timed.
yeah, and Mr. Cook is, you know, for better or worse, trying to get folks to spend at least a few days in the office, and getting pushback on that. I feel like it's a reasonable request to make of your folks. A couple days, 2-3 days, not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, and I think like we've mentioned over and over here in this conversation, we do miss those drive-by, fly-by interactions that happen organically, that you don't have to schedule and you don't have to do specific things for.
The other thing that I've noticed with almost every team that I've been on is that I tend to work so much better and so much more effectively with the people that hang out at the happy hour for a little bit, even if it's to sip a lemonade. The workday seems to go easier when you're spending it with the people that willingly give up an hour of their evening to spend a little bit more time with you. Like that's a big deal. Like it's not like we recognize, you know, like, yeah, we do it on a weekly cadence and it might get to be a lot. And if you don't want to come, don't come. But the people that actually do give up their own time to spend with the people they literally just spent 8 hours with tend to be the people I work with the best.
Very true. Kyle, your parting thoughts?
I'm inspired to show up more at stuff and increase my time at work, and just push for a few more days, because I really think that's going to make a difference. Getting out and about and spending that time with people.
For both you and everybody, right?
Yeah, it'll increase my happiness. It'll probably either decrease, or at least it won't make it any worse in terms of the other people that have to put up with me. But no, I think it's cool. We're kind of getting our fall crunch time. This is a very busy time of the year for us, and so I think, yeah, even like maybe even having like an office month where I just go in every day for a month and just try that out and see how painful that is. I'm 4 miles away. Like, it's not hard.
I have so many thoughts on that.
I'm not making any big sacrifice.
I predict that you won't make it the full month, but you've heard it here, folks.
All right. Challenge accepted.
I do think you'll try it. I do think you'll try it.
The only way I'd work in the office every day was if I was a bus driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
Awesome.
In that case, would you take your work home with you?
No, there's no parking in front of my house.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I think this is a good stopping point, and it's time to say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Solution Design Group is a digital product consultancy in Minneapolis. Check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.